Builders?
Here.
Lee?
Aye.
Morales?
Here.
Owen? Here. Sullivan?
Here.
Bessler? McGrath?
Here.
That's what said she's pulling up.
Just a piece of paper.
Sure.
Me too.
These two.
Yeah.
There's two there.
Yeah.
Chief. Anybody else? Just. You got it. No, give me the agenda. Okay. There any comments? Okay, hearing none. We have a motion on item 3, the Maine West Athletic Edition.
Move. Second.
Okay. Mary?
Okay, on February 25th, bids were open for the Maine West Athletic Addition and Remodeling. 6 bids were received. The low bid was $10,189,000. The highest bid was $12,355,000. 5 of those 6 bids were clustered very close together. 5 alternates to the base bid were sought to get pricing on. Of those 5 alternates, we are recommending the awarding of alternate 2, which is air conditioning the gymnasium, and alternate 3 for sprinklering the gymnasium. Both of those elements are very cost effective because of the remodeling, because we're replacing HVAC system, because we're sprinkling the 2 additions. To go back and try and retrofit that space after it's been built would be much more expensive for those 2 items. These alternates bring the lowest responsible bid to $10,292,000 from Half Builders Inc. Half Builders Inc. is the current contractor on the remodeling project of the Frost Academy and Admin Center at the corner. As part of the scope review, we went over things that we could reduce in scope or eliminate, and we had 10 items totaling $417,760. You will see a deduct change order as part of the recommendation that will bring the net contract award amount to $9,874,240. The Maine West Athletic Addition Remodeling Project has been something we've been discussing for about the last 2 years in terms of bringing the activities that are currently housed in the basement of Maine West up to the main floor.
We don't list the items that are being removed.
They're here.
They are attached on the change order.
About page 4.
So can you just kind of go over?
Sure, I can go over them. The first is there was some rooftop mechanical screens that we are eliminating, and that was a deduct of $123,660. These are aesthetics on the roof, so you just can't see the mechanical equipment. We felt for that number we had better use of funds. We deleted the contaminated material allowance. This was simply an allowance for the removal of spoils on site. We're building a hill for the PE and athletic children to train on, so that's where the soil will go. We revised the lockers in the PE locker rooms. In lieu of top hinge small lockers, we're going with side hinge lockers, and that helps with the whole locker layout and saves us $101,000. Deduct number 4 is actually something they're going to do. We were going to demolish part of the slab in the PE locker rooms because we're getting an epoxy floor, and any divots in that slab could be filled in with the epoxy floor and you wouldn't see them. And the contractor is reserving the right to, if it's easier for them to do the demolition of the slab because it's effective for them, but they'll give us $10,000 for making that change. There is a vapor barrier that goes on the exterior of the building. That vapor barrier is installed by manufacturer certified companies only. But we are deleting the third party coming out and observing that that product is actually the product that they say it is. They're still manufacturer certified companies. That was $6,300. We are reducing the drops in the fitness center from 13 to 6, but we are providing the raceway for the additional 7, which means that should we want to go in and add those additional 7 in the future, we just fish the wires through and we can add those very
These are
quickly.
cameras you're talking about?
No, these are drops for monitors,
Oh, okay.
TV monitors and data.
What's the square footage of that fitness room approximately?
So
Approximately.
they say 3,000?
I think it might be bigger than that. It's somewhere between, it's exactly the same size as their current one, somewhere between 3,000 and I would say 4,000 square feet. We are putting in PVC piping for the storm and sanitary sewers drains, which are interior of the building above drop ceilings instead of cast iron. We can do that because they're easier to work on in a drop ceiling. We'll know if we have a leak. It's not an area where we would be concerned with them freezing and bursting. So that was a $15,000 deduct.
Back
We-
to 7.
Yeah, I know I skipped 7, so I'm coming back to it,
Okay,
sorry.
okay.
I know. We reduced the scope of the sidewalk. There were some cut-through paths to the entrance to the gym. So we felt that we didn't really need those, that kids are gonna walk all over the place. And people coming to take and observe the gym will follow the sidewalk path. So these cut-through paths just, we felt were not needed. There is a certain type of roof insulation that was an upgrade, and they felt that we didn't need that upgrade. It was too expensive for the square footage of roof that we're doing, because we're doing the roofs just on the addition part. So to do the upgrade on this insulation, for the cost that it was, the architect felt that that type of insulation was not needed on the roof. And then, over the course of the last several years, we've been replacing the lighting heads on certain parking lot light fixtures. Because those heads are only a couple years old, we went through the whole layout, and instead of replacing what was just replaced, we're gonna keep those that have been replaced and only replace the old ones, and that will save us $61,000.
Are you putting in less?
No, we are not putting in less.
It says reduce.
Well, it's reducing the number of light heads because the light heads on certain poles are only 2 years old.
So they.
Some are
bid-
original, they've already been replaced.
Reducing
So
the
we're
number of new
reducing the
ones.
number of new ones,
The lighting will
but
stay,
not the light.
the amount of lighting will stay the
Correct.
same, okay.
So that brings the total deduct change order to $417,760.
The savings we're getting from the removal of dirt, and these hills that we're gonna be building for athletic purposes, how big are they gonna be, where are they gonna be located?
They're going to be located by the tennis courts and soccer field on the southwest portion of the building. It will have a grade of 15%, because we can cut that grade. Total square footage of the hill,
Height.
Height.
How tall are they gonna be?
30 feet,
About 25.
25, yeah, it's not a very big hill. But it was really something that the school wanted. It saved us not only the $75,000 here,
So will kids use it for sledding in the winter, and where is the end of the sled running to?
yeah, we already took sledding into account because,
Because I mean, we have berms all over our campus, around the soccer field and softball field and so forth, but they're probably 12, 15 feet tall. And the athletes do exercise over them, but
the sledding portion. Okay, where's Middle Hill Design?
That's been a
It's a
hot
whole
topic in
separate
the
packet
news
on
recently
sledding.
with different municipalities thinking of,
Trying to think of liability.
banning
The
sledding
fence at
because
the bottom of the
of
hill.
some lawsuits.
Okay. It is, so and we can pass this around and look at it now. See how there's a tennis court right here?
right?
So to the north of the proposed hill is a tennis court before the parking lot
So it's gonna
lane
be in behind, between the practice fields
and the soccer field. So if you sled this way, you're not gonna make it into the parking lot.
Okay,
If you sled this way, there's just open field
And when you select this way, you're gonna have to go the length of 4 tennis courts in order to
in order to, correct.
make it out onto Wolves.
Yeah.
Unless you have a Chevy Chase sled, then.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Let's make a note not to set a toboggan run there.
And the net will stop.
And the grade, that's why we didn't go with, we went with a 15% slope.
So very gradual.
So it's very gradual, it's not gonna be, and we did that so we can mow it.
Can't get any speed up.
But I should also point out that that little hill allows us not to award alternate number 5.
Well, there's no
Yeah.
question. We don't transport dirt anytime we get the opportunity to turn around and leave it on campus.
Yeah.
And there's no knowledge that it's actually got a contamination in it. That's just the assumption that anytime you move dirt from one location to another, it's contaminated. And if you move it, it requires multiple testing so that it can go in the correct fill.
Correct.
So there are substantial dollars. So between the practice fields and the tennis courts and soccer field, see that run-out space between the soccer field and the tennis courts? The 4
Why don't I
tennis
just
courts?
draw a circle on it?
Someone's getting space here.
The 4 of us. The brain.
There you go.
Hill.
Hill.
Helpful. Thank you.
Oh, now I see it.
There it is.
Can you tell how high it is from
Yeah.
there?
Looks
She
very-
drew a topographic.
You can tell the design.
Little interior circles.
I actually have my little interior somewhere in this folder.
Were you gonna mention anything else?
No, that was, I'll entertain any questions anybody has on the project.
I'd just like to comment on all the hard work you've done and how good it is, and thanks for saving almost $500,000 on it. So I would move the question.
I got a question, reference to hub builders. So who are they basically? What kind of, are they been?
So in order to, so we always have a pre-bid meeting. We have our contractors pre-certified through the architect. Hap Builders is a building company that has done several school projects. Archon has worked
Any
with
recent,
them.
any
Any-
recent school projects?
They've recently done the build-out for us on Frost and the admin center. They have done a building interior remodeling at District 96
What was
in
the
Buffalo
rough,
Grove.
what was the rough budget on that?
The
For
budget
example?
for our center was just under $1 million. The budget in District 96 was a multi-million-dollar project. This is a $10 million project. They are bonded to do projects up to $20 million.
So they're definitely capable.
Yes.
They've been in business a long time.
Yeah.
And the timeline of this construction, when it's gonna be, say, when are we gonna start and when are we gonna?
We're gonna start in April on certain aspects of the project. We're turning the building over in 2 stages. Stage 1 would be the existing portion, so that's the gym and the PE locker rooms. We're slated to turn that over before the start of the next school year. So that they can begin using the gym next year for contest and competitions. The new portions of the building are slated to be done by the end of the calendar year. So they'll move up, if they're done early, we'll move up out of the basement into the new spaces. If they're not done, they'll be done by the end of the calendar year.
So everything should be done by next year?
Middle of next year for our fiscal year, December 31st on the calendar year.
And the other finance, I know we do have the funding available as we
Right, so what we've
as we
done
say.
is, over the last several years, we have intentionally added reserves,
Uh-huh.
built up our fund balance so that we could pay for this project. We have added more than this project. So this has been our plan for the last several years, to save the money to fund this project.
The
So
district
we-
has 70 million in their reserves, right?
We have over 100 million,
100,
yeah.
okay.
So I was a little low last time,
Okay.
but,
Well, you're conservative, no question about it. I think that it's an actually critical project to do for Maine West. I mean, while I would prefer that we turn around and put efforts towards putting the field house there that was promised back in '68, I don't think that's feasible at this point in time. But designing and building this modification, which still has an allowance in it for the field house, I think is an important thing to do. So I don't think there's any question in whether or not we should perform this work.
I hear.
The current facilities, you've seen those, Sarah, they're
They're
They're in-
the worst in the district.
They are. I don't know how
They
those
are
kids
not
down
the
in that
type of
basement.
facility that we
do
would
anything
build
on.
in this day and age. We
No.
are very sure that in the mid-50s, when it was designed and built, it was probably a really cool space for kids. It's just
And that's when you only had.
50
that's
plus
when you
years
only-
later,
That's when you only had boys athletics.
Yeah. things have dramatically changed.
Oh, that's just right there.
Isn't that incomprehensible? Yeah, it's a dungeon.
So from like 10, 20, 30 years from now, with this renovation, it should be fit perfectly modernized,
Well,
high-tech.
While I do not know what the future holds for high school athletics, we know that this space is designed with our programs in mind. The spaces were designed for a little bit of growth in program, in the wrestling room, in the dance rooms and stuff. But this will, I can say that the building is very pleased and very excited about this project coming.
I'm just kind of always concerned, like, after 2, 3, 5 years from now, when we see it, it's not applicable, so they have to demolish it, or they have to,
No,
you know,
we do
waste their
not
time and
foresee
money and
any
everything,
type of
so.
sport that we now know of to exist that would cause us to change the functionality of this space.
And
Did you have
space
that
is
issue?
never, space is always something you can convert. So what really might change, Jen, is, say, the fitness center. If technology changes, equipment changes, we'll be able to replace old equipment with newer, more high-tech equipment. So it's really the space to be able to do that. So I think the space will be relevant moving forward, hopefully.
But if a sport like high school tobogganing comes in, our hill
We'll-
is not
we'll-
designed for
We're ready.
tobogganing.
We're ready.
Yeah.
We're already halfway there.
Yeah.
I'd like to call the question.
Second.
All right, Jenny, you'll take the roll, please. Lee,
Aye.
Childers.
Aye.
Owen.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Bessler.
Aye.
McGrath.
Aye.
A motion to adjourn.
Aye, so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.